Hey everyone, and welcome to today's video. Today's video we will be covering rigid body and colliders, but you probably already knew that. Anyway, let's go. So as you can see here, I have these two really beautiful sprites which I created in a second, but don't worry about this, right? This could be any object at all. This could be just a circle or a square sprite or whatever. I just created them for fun. And in the next videos, actually, I will actually dedicate one video towards art. So we'll just create something similar to actually will be better than these, because as you can see, these are pretty simple. But enough about that. Now, if I run this game, see what happens. So both of them are falling, and they're also stopping here, right? So if I actually remove that block over there, which is basically just a square, I just made it black. So now if I run that again without this being there, you'll see that they're actually not being stopped by anything. So actually what is stopping them is this block here, which I created, which we actually are going to create in this video. And the actual thing that actually stops these objects from falling is called collider. So if you've ever played video games, and chances are you have, let's say you play some 3D game and your character moves through a certain position and then a cinematic starts playing. Well, that's because you actually crossed a collider, and that's the same thing here, except for, we're not playing a cinematic. That would be cool though. Anyway, so let's start from the beginning. I'll delete these from here. I'll remove that square. Okay, now let's add our square. Let's just add it here. It doesn't matter really. And let's just make it so it covers the whole ground level. Let's move it here, and then let's change the color. And now let's click on here where it says add component. So we add an actual component, and let's add this box collider 2D. You have to type it here, box collider, and you can just select it, the 2D version, because that's a 3D version, and we actually want the 2D, right? So click on 2D, and you see this green outline here, and this is basically the collider. So when the object touches this green line here, then that means that the object has collided. Okay, so let's add our sprites here. There we go. And then let's add this other sprite. And if you're wondering how I created them, this one is actually created because from using this website, which is free, which is Piscale app, and I'm not sponsored by anyway, I'm just showing you. And this art is created by in Photoshop. I just created it really fast, like under a minute. So yeah, this is just for the example here. There we go. Now we actually want to add gravity to these objects, because we want them to be falling just like apples. Okay, that was a bad joke, but anyway, you get what I mean, right? So we need to add a gravity to them. So how do we add a gravity? Well, click on this object, whatever object you want to actually make fall, and go to add component, and then type in Rigidbody. And we want the Rigidbody 2D again, because there's a 3D version, but we don't care about that now. Now if we click on Rigidbody, you see a couple of fields here, which is body type, material, all that good stuff. But what really Rigidbody allows you to do is actually have it open here, and I'm going to leave a link to that documentation here under the video, so you can read more about it, because as you can see, there's tons of stuff you actually would like to know, right? But what this gives you basically is physics engine, right? So basically you can add mass, you can add gravity, you can add linear drag, angular drag, all that type of stuff. And the rigid body, you have three types, which is dynamic, kinematic, and static. And again, if you come here, you see all of them in depth all of these body types covered in depth. So basically, in a nutshell, what the dynamic body type is basically is designed to move under the simulation, right? So basically, you don't have control over it. Imagine a ball, right, which will be just bouncing around your whole canvas, your whole background, and you don't have any control over it. The physics engine has control over it. Think of it that way. Whereas kinematic is basically designed to move under simulation, just like dynamic. However, it is only under very explicit user control. So imagine you want to click on this sprite on game time, and you want to actually move it. Well, if you actually want that, then you would be better off having kinematic. And static is basically no movement at all. Where is it? You can come here and you see static, and you see it's designed not to move under simulation at all. And of course there are many more details, which I urge you to read. Okay. So now that we have added this rigid body component, it has this gravity scale, right? So if it is set to 1, then that means they will just fall. Okay, now if I just run that, let's see what happens. Okay, great, that it's falling, but oh no, it didn't actually collide. Why didn't it collide? Well, we actually put the collider to the square, but it didn't collide. Well, the reason for that is because you need 2 colliders in order for them to actually collide. 1 is not enough. So what that means is, let's say box collider, click on it, and now this has a collider as well. So now if I run that, you see that this square will actually stop it because this has a collider. And if you actually click on edit collider here, you can actually adjust where the collider is. So let's say we move the collider on the top of that beautiful sprite of ours. Let's put it there. There we go. Now if I run that, what do you think will happen? Well, if I run that, it will basically stop it on the head. There we go, because that's where we added the collider. I hope that makes sense. Okay, but this guy is just hanging there and being jealous of this guy falling, so let's add gravity to this guy as well. So you can stop the video now and try to actually add the gravity. Let's do it now. So you basically need a rigid body 2D, and automatically it's set to 1, meaning it will be just falling on a normal scale. Okay, now we also need to add a collider for it if we want it to stop. Collider. And as you can see, actually there are many forms of colliders. There's polygon, there's circle, but for our case we need a box collider, right? Because that's a box. Anyway, we've added that, and now this should stop in theory. So if we run it, right, there we go. Okay, let's fix that collider. Edit collider, and then let's put it here. There we go. Now if we run it again, just to make sure it's running correctly, there we go. Both of these sprites actually fell in the same time. Well, what if we actually modify this gravity scale? So let's put that as 0.3, right? This sprite is 0.3, and this is where is it? 0.5. Now this is 0.3, this is 0.5 in terms of gravity. Which one do you think will fall faster? Let's run that. As you can see, the 0.5 falls a little bit faster. Okay, and now let's put that as 2, right? Now if I put that as 2, and you see that it will actually fall very, very fast. Okay, yeah, it falls significantly faster. So my point is, you can modify this rigid body. You can change the dynamic, the body type. Let's change the kinematic, and basically let's run. Nothing will happen because when it's kinematic, it doesn't have all of the physics properties like gravity scale, for example. So if you want the gravity, basically you want to use dynamic. But for this video, that will be enough. In next videos, we'll actually be using rigid body and colliders a lot. We'll be making fun stuff with it. So apologies for this video not having any code in it, but I promise in the next video, or possibly the video after it, I'm not sure what the next video will be, will contain code for sure. And that's it, guys. And by the way, I'll be starting to actually add the code that we're using in GitHub. So I'll provide a link about the code that we'll be using throughout every single video, so you can just check it out and you can just copy paste the code, which I do not urge you to do, but if you want to, you can do it. Okay, but do not do it. All right, so that will be the video for today, guys. I'll also again leave the link for this documentation here so you can read it and experiment on your own, which I urge you to do. And again, thank you guys for watching and see you on the next video.